talked about that. So we're really just going to get them loose, and then we're going to simulate really trying to get 2 scores under 2 minutes type deal, 3 timeouts. We've done that every year. So bigs are not going to go full speed, but the skill will, just so you know. So you're looking out there and you're like, this guy's loafing. We're telling them to back off. But this will be good for us, communication piece and send these guys off in a good way. It's been a really good spring. It really has. I'm proud of those guys. But I didn't expect anything different either. Not from this group. This group is exactly what we expect.
What's your message to guys when they leave, the veteran vendors when they leave?
Yeah, I think just remember what are we playing for? I want just each individual, what do you want? Like, what do you want out of this year? What do you want it to look like when we're sitting here and it's February? Like, where is your mind? And so think about that, and let's work backwards from there. That'll be the message.
What do you want?
You know what I want. I want the whole enchilada.
Dan, you signed a handful of veterans, Reeder, Mosley, Davenport. You knew they had some rehab and recovery to go through. How are those guys? Are they on track? Do you anticipate any of them being potentially ready for the start of camp?
Yeah, I would say Reeder would be the one who, he'll be a decision on at what point is he ready to start practicing, But that's not something that we're caught off guard by. We knew this would take a minute here, and I would anticipate everybody else to be pretty close to ready. If not, it's going to be tight. I mean, it'll be enough to where they're going to get a really good amount of training camp work, if that makes sense. So, no, there's nobody I'm really alarmed about. I would say Reeder's probably the one that's going to take a minute.
Speaking of the whole enchilada, Ali McNeil is, it wasn't a weight reference, but I mean, he's one of the ones that's going to be perhaps quote unquote paid next or whatever, ready contract year. What have you seen out of him? I know he kind of evolved his body last year, and now you're going to play him at fullback and all that. So I'm wondering what.
Did you guys ask him yet? Has anybody asked him that?
No.
Okay, I just wanted to see his reaction. All right, keep going.
But you see the continual evolution of him as into something even bigger?
I do. I think we all do. Mac has got so much ability, and I think he's one of the man, the way that he is built and the nimbleness and athleticism and power that he has for the way that he is, for the way that he's built is just, you don't see that every day. And so we still feel like there's more in there. He's really took a big step last year. We feel like there's more in there. And, and I know that's one of the things Terrell noticed right when he came here. Our D-line coach was like, man, this guy, he said, I've always liked Ali McNeil, but I see there's more to this guy. We can get more out of him, and that's a good thing. And some of that is by fundamentals and technique and just continuing to push. And but Mac is he's one of those guys. I mean, I think this can go up another step. Last year was a big year for him.
Do you think that contract year can be a thing? It's proven. Your guys have, it's proven for several of them.
I'm sorry, do you think what now?
Contract year can be a thing for a player?
I mean, man, I hope not. With our guys?
Yeah.
I hope not. Then we probably don't have the right guys. Does that make sense? So I think our guys are, man, you're playing it year by year and you're giving the most you have in that year, whether it's a contract year or not. I think if that's a deal, we probably have the wrong guy, and I feel very confident Brad and I made the right decisions on guys we drafted or brought in.
I did ask him about it. He thinks you're joking, but he's ready.
Oh, he does? Good. But he did say what?
He thinks you're joking, but he's ready if you want him.
Okay, good. I like it. It's
He
good.
shared his high school highlights on Twitter yesterday, too.
Oh, yeah?
Dan, this probably fits in with some of the other guys have been asking about with Antoine Green and Brandon Joseph, but Mitchell Agude has been getting some run with the higher level defensive teams.
Yep.
He looks physically like he belongs out there. I'm just wondering, he was with you most, if not all, of last year in the practice squad. What have you seen from his development, his potential to contribute?
Yeah, he's another player that we were really pleased with by the end of last year, practice squad player that that we thought really pushed that offensive line, and really developed for what he was doing. It kind of had him at that defensive end position, the rush defensive end position, and not only that, he helped us on special teams, and he was somebody repeatedly every week that the coaches would talk about. Just even when he was servicing the offense, how smart he is. You give him one correction, one thing, and it never happens again. And he's a worker, man. He works, and he's another guy that's kind of transformed his body. He's pretty powerful, and so he's a guy, man. You love going into camp with a guy like him. Let's see where he can go. So we're pleased with him. We're glad he's here on the 90-man roster going into camp, or 89, whatever it is right now.
With your message to the vets as they go off, you said, what do you want out of this? Do they have to do more, considering where you are as a team, how close you are to the whole enchilada? Like, do you want them to do more? Do you want them just to do what they've been doing? And also reminder to,
Yeah, I think as they go into camp, they know what camp's going to be like for us. So they're in really good shape right now. They really are. It's one of those you wish you could start camp in a week, However, you're going to trust that these guys are going to continue to put in the work, and they do. But make sure you come back into camp and you're in tip-top shape, that you're where you are when you left here, whatever it is. What is the date? June 6th? And make sure that's where you're at physically. But then mentally, understand that wherever you want this to go and where you want us to go as a team, the work to that point and the work that it's going to take to get there, you need to understand what that looks like and what you're getting prepared to do. And it's not only, okay, man, you got to push harder, you got to think. To me, it's like offensive and defensively, special teams. All right, here's the concepts, here's our scheme, here's what we run, here's how we do it. Now we got to take it up another notch. We got to take it into, like I'm listening to AG this morning. It was a great point. All right, I'm in there and I'm the safety, and I know my responsibility is, in a 2x2, anything vertical my way. However, if Sam Laporta is not in there, then forget that. Let's go work backside and help out on Jamison Williams. Like, I know your responsibility says on paper I should help any number 2, but if that guy is not a threat, let the corner have him, and those are the little things, like, man, where we can really grow offensively and defensively. Like the awareness of who's in, what's the situation, where we know what it says on paper, but we can't do the Ron Burgundy, We can't just continue to read off the teleprompter. We got to grow, and that's the next step. That is the next evolution, because that's what San Francisco did to us, quite frankly. They played at a different level.
Speaking of,
No, after watching, we asked you a couple times about Hendon Hooker, but after watching him really get a lot of more action as you obviously didn't get last year for sure. But what do you think he needs to grow at, before coming into training camp?
Just reps, and we'll tell him this before he leaves. Here's the beauty, man. You've got everything we've done through spring, which has been a ton. I mean, he's gotten. I don't know, but I would guess he's gotten more game situations as a backup quarterback than probably most in a spring. I mean, we've put him in so many hard situations, which has been unbelievable to have those. But you've got everything we've done to this point. You ought to have every script with you, and you should be going through every one of them every day. I should be going through the play call. I'm in the huddle. I'm going to visualize this. All right, here's the coverage. I see it. Here's the safety. I'm going to check to this. And so by the time you get back, you should have a real good grasp of what we're doing. The install is not really going to change, not offensively. We're pretty much going to go in with what we went in with this spring. So I expect a player that is much more comfortable coming into camp than when he left spring.
And I'm wondering, with Jamison emerging and Khalif Raymond being so proficient, what are your realistic expectations for Donovan Peoples-Jones?
Yeah, I think he's another guy that's coming in here to help us compete, and there again, it's hard to say. This thing will shake out when we get to camp. There's a reason why we signed him back. We like DPJ. He's a different body type. He's a pretty smart guy. He brings something a little bbit different to the table. He's got to play big boy ball, His separation is his size and his length, and he's got to battle some. So we'll see how this goes in training camp, If we didn't like him, he wouldn't be here.
Do you have the last 3, Dave, Wojo, and Sean?
two little housekeeping things. Dorsey, first of all, how do you come out of it?
Yeah, he should be good. We got good news on that. Looks like a little ankle, so he's good.
And then are you looking for anything this summer, just roster-wise? Like, do you feel good with where you're?
Brad and I will talk about that, before next week, sometimes in the middle of next week, just to make sure and I'd be honest, really depth, if anything, like depth-wise, because you want to know you've got competition in every area, but, enough to where, man, you can battle with the 2s and 3s, and that'll kind of be the conversation, but right now, I don't feel like we feel pressed on anything.
You've got a lot of good experienced players, but you've also got some very highly touted rookies coming in. Have you seen them meld in and not be intimidated and fit in, or is it too early to tell?
Yeah, I think it's too early to tell. Some of those guys, there's always going to be a little bit of, it always cracks you up because, like rookie minicamp, they're it, right? And then all of a sudden the vets come in, and then it's no different than it's a team meeting in the auditorium. You're in a rookie minicamp, and they just take the seats. I was like, yeah, that's my seat. And then when you have the team meeting and the vets are here, well, that's a vet seat. So then, the rookies, pretty soon they're standing over in the wall. But I do feel like our veterans have done a good job of, and it's something we've talked about. We're going to need these guys. We don't know entirely who they are going to be, but we're going to need these rookies. Like some of these rookies are going to help us win games. And so the faster we can help them come along and embrace them, the better off we're all going to be. We can't just, we can't isolate them and not talk to them and not help them and expect them to help us when we're going to need them. So our guys know that, and they've done a really good job of helping them. Now, you still got to remind them they're rookies, which they do, but we embrace them.
Getting back to the enchilada, the whole enchilada. And
Yes, sir.
And you mentioned San Francisco. I'm curious how much you've talked to them about the end of that game, the way it felt. Should it fuel you? Should you flush it? Just all of that sort of stuff. Or you wait for regular training camp for more of that?
No, I think some of that will come up. We've talked a little bit about it, not in a ton of depth, but yet we've acknowledged. That's the point where we got to be at our best. And when you're talking about playing the heavyweight, you're going to go toe to toe with a heavyweight. Everything's got to line up right, and you got to play a certain way for 60 minutes, and you can't buckle under the pressure, and which we've done a really good job of. I felt like we really did, and we really have for a year and a half. And it's just, okay, man, it's a different level, right? It's a different level against a different type of opponent at that level. So we're going to learn from that. And our guys know that, and they acknowledge it. The good news is you don't want to come out of that game and guys feel they're gun shy now, and they're broken, and they lack confidence. Our guys are, that motivates you. It makes you mad. It should make you mad. And then you got to turn that into what we talked about. The next thing, what are you going to do about it? And what's it going to look like? And it's got to be focused, and it's got to be detailed. And then you got to go back to work.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay, I got one more thing for everybody, okay? So as you guys know, Mr. Mike O'Hara, okay, retiring from sports writing for nearly 50 years. I'm going to read a couple things first. 42 years at the Detroit News, 1966 to 2008. Started the Lions beat writer in 1977. Covered more than 500 Lions games in his career. Columnist for DetroitLions.com for the last 12 years. Michigan Sports Hall of Fame class 2019. Served our country in the Army for 2 years, including one in Vietnam War, which I did not know that, Mike. I did not know that. And thank you for your service. Man, we just want to thank you, all of us in here. Thank you, Mike, for everything that you've done. And it's been a hell of a career, man. So let's give him a round.